Well, man and man, we there in the place. The leader man them, the councillor man them, the missionary man them, the policeman, the soldier man, the farmer man, at the chef, with the man them there. Yeah, welcome man in the place. So man and man, we there. Welcome to the program designed for men with guests who are men. And this is the time where we challenge, encourage, and empower our men to become all that they were created to become. Yes, welcome to the mailbox here every Wednesday at 5:30 right here on Love 101, your family station. Courtney, what are you saying?
Hey, Kevin, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Radio Land. Good afternoon to those on YouTube and Facebook. We're live on those social media platforms. Indeed, it's a good afternoon. And Kevin,
Yes.
we are going to be having a great evening. As you said earlier, this is the program designed for men. And every fourth Wednesday, we highlight a man that has integrity. We dub fourth Wednesdays, Mentegrity Wednesday. It's where we highlight a man that won't lower his standard just for any and anything. Sometimes ladies, say that those men are hard to find. But we found one today and he'll
Yep.
be sharing with us. Yes, Kevin.
Of course, we found one today. Is a good friend of mine and somebody that I worked with over the years, Brother John Rooms. And I can tell you, this is a man of integrity, and he will share some more about his collaboration with other men of integrity. Work with him with Kingston Keswick on the council. He has been Wycliffe translator to all over the world as a missionary and a family man. So many hats. I just want to welcome to the program our brother John Rooms. We're gonna be having a great time with them. Brother John, welcome to the mailbox.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be back in the mailbox once more.
Of course.
Kevin, that's a good man is hard to find, but somebody found him and married him. So, or he found someone. We know that a real man is in the place. So, man and man, remember, we want to hear from you. We're live on Facebook and YouTube at Love 101 FM Jamaica. You can leave your comments via WhatsApp line at 876-997-3125. Women, we welcome your participation in the program by leaving us a message via WhatsApp or comment on our Facebook page or on YouTube. Remember, no calls, no voice notes allowed, ladies. This is an exclusive club. You can share what you know about our Mentegrity man if you know him. Share an encounter you may have had with him. Indeed, Kev,
yes.
I just want to express condolences to the Patterson family. Pastor Auden Patterson, Sandra Patterson lost their mom yesterday afternoon, about 5:30. And so they lost their dad earlier this year. So just want to send condolences to them, the Feltab Portmore family, and all those who are friends and families of the Pattersons, Auden and Paula Patterson.
I tell you, we mourn with those who mourn, and not like those who have no hope, but we still mourn and want to send condolences to Vincent Ross of Maranatha as well. Lost his wife, Janet, a dear soul, wonderful lady. And so condolences to Vincent and to Jonathan and Janelle and the rest of the family there at Maranatha, Marvelly. And also condolences to the family of Rosalind Williams, sweetie, Mama Stan, member of Marvelly Gospel Hall. And then Next Change, Oral Reed, again from Marvelly Gospel Hall and Youth for Christ and family members. So quite a few of our friends were bearing our family up in prayer as well. So
yes.
It's just good to have Brother John Rooms in the place. And this time as we focus on Mentegrity. So who is John Rooms? Who is John Rooms? Right? Mr. Rooms, Brother Rooms. we have some questions for you. Now we want our listeners to know from Moral Point in the Grill. You can ask this man any question. Any question this man is capable of answering. But we want to know a little bit about John
Any
Rose. We always
question?
highlight men who deem outstanding men of integrity. What do you think of this word integrity? And what personally, what does that mean to you? Also, are you a family man? What are some of the principles you have instituted, as a part of your family? Yes, let's have those two first, brother John. Can you hear me,
Mhm.
John?
All right. Well, thank you again for having me. Mm,
Sure.
uh, yes, are you hearing me?
Yes, we're hearing you now.
Are you hearing me?
Uh, yes, we're hearing you. There might be a little
Okay.
delay, but we're hearing you.
Um, you're hearing me? Okay. Yes. So it's good to be here. And man of integrity means that, to me, in my mind, it's somebody who can be trusted, a man of his word, man who can be trusted whether he's in the public view or he's in private, man who understands that whatever he's doing in private, he is being observed,
Mm,
and therefore check up on his ways and the things he does, even in your private thoughts, because your thoughts eventually influence your actions as well. So you have to be a person of integrity, you have to be thinking about what is right and true. Um, but I must put in a caveat that I'm yet to find the perfect one.
yes,
And
so true.
so I am going to say it from now that I'm not a perfect individual, but I
Yes.
do believe in integrity and I try my best to be a man of integrity. And so it also goes out into my family life as well. We try to treat people right, treat my wife right, treat my children right, and I do not ask of them to do things that I wouldn't myself do, and so forth. I try to set a good example at home. I am conscious. I have a very live conscience that
Mm,
when I speak in the home, when there are those little situations that are not so comfortable and um, you want to be careful of the words that are used and then be conscious of anything that might have been said that might not be as wholesome as it should be. You want to correct that. You want to clear the air. In other words, you know, it's like be angry and sin not
mhm,
kind of thing. There are things that are going to
mhm,
upset you. This is
mhm,
real life. These are people who are imperfect trying to live together. There are
mhm.
going to be things that come up, but I always say that we keep short account of our
Yeah.
indiscretions. Um, we make mistakes, we deal with it as fast as possible. Just saying that we are not to allow the sun to set or the night to pass with our anger in place.
Yes.
And we try to deal with that so that our children will also learn from our example. And I want to thank God that we have two adult children now. I never had to get into fisticuffs with any of them, especially my son. I've heard of fathers and sons duking it out.
Mm,
Never had to do that.
mm,
We still have devotion, not every day for him, but every Sunday. We make sure we have Sunday dinner together and we have Bible reading and devotion right afterward. And everybody gets to pray.
nice.
And we are
That's good.
church people. So if you know the
Mm,
big man living in our house, say we are church. And so that standard is there. Um, we also value the opportunity to speak. People are free to speak their minds. I remember um, my daughter saying some things to me that really should upset an individual. But I said to myself, I value my daughter. And if that's the the way she's feeling. We're going to have a conversation. And so I called her back into the room and said to her, you felt you needed to tell me those things. Let's have a talk about it. And
Mm.
to this day, I consider that moment to be one of the most precious moments with my daughter. That day, I think we finally crossed a special threshold that is good to this day. So we believe in freedom of speech. People have things to say. People can say what is on their mind. We won't um, we won't readily take offense to it. We're not perfect,
No.
but even if we take offense, we sort it out because we recognize that God is still working on us. We're not perfect. And I think it is that understanding that we are not perfect that drives us to be willing to own up and to ask forgiveness and to talk it out rather than duke it out. And end on a good note, still loving one another, still respecting one another, and still feeling that it was good that we chat.
Bless up.
That was a mouthful.
Yes, Corey.
Are you still with me?
Um,
Indeed.
yeah. Go ahead, Corey.
I'm going on my laptop, so I don't know if the technicians can speak with me.
We still can see you, sir.
So
We
continue
still
as
can
John
see you.
Lewis.
It's good to have you, and
Mike,
as
okay.
we're about to enter into what we
Is
call
it
our main segment,
okay?
we want to do what is called a shout out as well, where we shout out to the men all over. Uh, and we usually shout out man there after we count to the number of three, you
Yes.
know. So let's just do that right now. And before we do that, I want to say a special shout out to a couple of ladies, Rochelle, Vanessa. Oh God, I can't remember the third lady's name from KG's rental. Indeed, they have treated me so well. I have to say to them, ladies, thank you very much. Rochelle, I hope you find the key. All right, so we want to give a shout out to the man them. So after three, we're going to shout man there. So after three, one, two, three, man there. Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
Man in
Indeed,
the
we're on
place.
man for no, so big them up. Hey, I was particularly pleased that Father's Day continued to take a turn for the better, where we're being celebrated more. I'm not hearing the term Happy Father's Day to all the good fathers. I'm just hearing Happy Father's Day because we don't do that for the women and say Happy Mother's Day to all the good mothers. We just say Happy Mother's Day. So we must do the same for the dads. It was a good day. Kevin and Sir Rooms, I hope you also had a good day. But it's time to get into the main segment. It's time a way of catching up on us. This is our main segment, the
It
inbox.
was
And today
indeed.
we're looking at man of integrity. Who is a man of integrity? Proverbs 10:9 says, whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but whoever takes a crooked path will be found out. So we want to ask you a bit more. What's your childhood was like? Were you born with a gold spoon in your mouth? What happened there? Tell us about your beginnings.
All right. We certainly weren't born with a golden spoon nor a silver one nor a bronze in the mouth. I think it's more of a wooden spoon, and we I think I'm gonna close one of these. Can I make a switch?
Yeah.
All right, so what we will do, we go for a break now, and when we return from the break, we're speaking to Sir John Rooms. He is a man of integrity. It's Mentegrity Wednesday for us on the mailbox. I'm Pastor Courtney Morrison. With me is Kevin Bailey as co-host. We'll take a break and we'll come right back after these messages.
Man, integrity man, I am a man, I am.
What are your financial goals? Consider who you are and where you want to be. Do you want to open your own business? Do you want to own a home? Invest in properties? Go back to school? Send your children to school. Then you have to save. But first, you have to have a budget. This financial literacy tip was brought to you by Bank of Jamaica, building an inclusive economy.
What should you be saving towards? First things first, pay yourself first. Have you set aside money for an emergency fund? It's important to consider how you will meet your expenses if you have an accident, lose your job, or get sick and you are unable to work. Save towards having at least 6 months' income for a rainy day. You'll never know when you might have an emergency.
This financial literacy tip was brought to you by Bank of Jamaica, building an inclusive economy.
Cook eggs, good food, and vitamins, and you can get your nutrients inside of it. I love eggs, there's no denying it. Makes me wanna shout, eat eggs! Eggs, 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 eat eggs! Get cracking and boil them up, whisk them, fry them up, put them right in a pan. Or you could even bake with it, make a cake with it, grab an egg if you can. Eat eggs! Brought to you by Hypro and the Jamaica Egg Farmers Association. Eat eggs!
Educom does it again with the mega car loan sale. 100% financing, interest rate of 6.95% and up to 10 years to repay. Hurry now and visit any of our 9 branches. Call Educom at 876-926-6973 or WhatsApp 876-559-7575 for more info. Educom Cooperative Credit Union Limited. Value through service.
Calling all couples. P&S Events and Vacations invite you to rekindle Marriage Still a Keep at Couples Swept Away, November 17 to 20, 2023, hosted by the Eastwoods for 2 nights, 125,000 Jamaican dollars. For 3 nights, 187,500 Jamaican dollars. Discover each other's love language. Create your vision board. Join the All White Catherine Cruise. For more information and bookings, contact 876-585-9116 or 876-898-9698. Rates are per couple. Limited rooms available.
Proper hand hygiene starts with Cubby's hand sanitizer, providing lasting moisture and a shield of protection. Plus, it smells great. The time by Cubby's hand sanitizer is proper hand hygiene starts with
Cubby's. 6 on the 101. You're listening to the program Mailbox. Welcome back. We're talking with Sir John Rooms. Indeed, he is here. He's our man of integrity. And remember, we want you to remember that we're live on YouTube and Facebook as well. And you'll be able to call us or send a voice note and text message to the number 876-997-3125. And indeed, remember, ladies, remember you can text us, but no voice notes nor any call into where we are. The number to call studio is 876-968-8327 or 8. Before we went for the break, we were asking Sir Rooms about his childhood, and he said he wasn't born with a golden, silver, nor bronze spoon. It was more like a wooden spoon in his mouth. Who knows, he probably wasn't even born with a spoon. So let's find out more about all that is happening here. Tell us about your childhood as you were growing up, schools you attended, challenges that you faced. Let's hear some more.
Yes. So there were a lot of us in the house, and at one point I was regarded as the older one for my parents, but they both had a son before they got married. But there were 6 boys, wow. 6 boys, and I was old. I became the eldest by 24 minutes because I'm one of a pair of twins, and so I was 24 minutes before my twin brother, and it was like the doctor saying, "Oops, there's another one," and that happened twice because those that came after us were twins as well, and the one girl in that pair of twins, she didn't make it. She was stillborn because the doctors didn't know there was another one. So it became all boys. So my parents had a son each before they got married, and they had 6 boys. And most of the time in my home, I am the responsible one. So if the rest of them did something that they weren't supposed to have done, I am the first one to get scolded or whipped because you're the older one. And you should know better. And you should make sure they never did it,
Yeah.
We lived on what I thought was a farm, but it was a little space that they managed to do a lot of things on it. So we had cows on the property, we had goats and sheep sometimes. Learn a lot about scripture through those sheep.
Where was this, John? Where
This
was
was
this?
in Mandeville,
Mhm.
in an area on the suburbs of Mandeville called Bromelia, Moose Crescent in the Bromelia area. This was like 2-3 miles from church and school, and we were walking all the time until later on Daddy bought a pickup. But we grew up in church. Both parents got married in Emmanuel Missionary Church by the first pastor that was there, Zenas Gehrig. They met in Mandeville. He was from North Manchester. She was from South Manchester. They ended up in Mandeville and met each other. One of those locations was at the Jamaica Bible School, where he was doing construction on the building, fixing a roof, and she was helping out as one of those persons in the serving the students in the kitchen and so forth, helping out with that and so forth. And it was part of her training as well in housekeeping and culinary arts and so forth. And he was in construction. When I say North Manchester, it's really the border of Manchester and St. Elizabeth, a place named Roses Valley. We call it Balaclava, but it's just over the border into St. Elizabeth on that side. So we did everything that boys do, including getting regular whipping, because we were just full of energy. We were all over the place shooting birds and playing cowboy and Indians and stuff like that. But every Saturday we have to clean the house from top to bottom. And it was well rewarded with a good bowl of beef soup or soup, Saturday pea soup, Saturday beef soup, pumpkin soup, you name it. Always look forward to that. And then Sunday morning early, big bossy breakfast, because we have to clean the house for Sunday. And then big bossy breakfast and big bossy dinner after church. And then we clean the house again for Monday cottage prayer meeting. It's like a cell group. And the pastor, then George Hewitt, who helped to bring home some of my younger brothers from the hospital when they were born. The last 2 were brought home by him. Pastor Hewitt, I measure all pastors against this man named Reverend George Hewitt. Lovely man. God bless his soul.
So tell me something, John. Tell me something. At that early age, what was your dream? What was your big dream? What is it that you fantasize of becoming? What were you thinking of becoming this great translator and working with film and marriage and all those? Talk to us. What is it? What did you dream of?
Well, all those things you mentioned were far from my mind. In fact, it's more like I want to become a cowboy than a sheriff. And then my father later on told me something about an engineer because he was into construction. Yeah. So he mentioned engineer, and I remember reading books about the engineer who drive the train. So I said, okay, I'm going to become a train driver. Only to find out it was totally lost on me. We're just being pretty ordinary. We learn from our parents to be kind to people. To be helpful, to stay away from quarrels and fights and so forth. At 9 years old, as 4 of us, we used to like sleep in the bed 4 apiece, type of thing. There was always somebody else living with us as well. So it was a big house, a lot of people in the little house. Because when I went back there, everything seemed so small. I must tell you that one, I must tell you about that. So I got married. talking about this farm that I grew up on.
Yes.
And the children start hearing about this farm I grew up on. We had about 4 paddocks where we could put the cows in, they eat out one section and they could move them along. And it used to take me a long time to go down into the little valley and up the hill to the neighbor's fence and stuff like that. So one day I took my family to see the farm. I couldn't even find the place.
Wow.
I couldn't, and I had to work it out. Where is the place? And drive where, and I saw the fence immediately behind the house. And I said, hold on a little bit. This cannot be the farm that I grew up on. I was so disappointed. Then he started rubbing my back, and said, John, remember you were just a little fellow.
Little boy.
Time, But the place was wonderful.
Farm boy.
John,
tell us.
It was fun. And we got along very well with our neighbors. I was settling down at about 9 and one Saturday night, and I'm usually the last to go to bed because I like to read before going to bed. And so I was the last one going to bed. And as I settled down with the 4 others in the big bed, well, I can't use those terms again, I'm not sure how big it was. Probably was quite small. Settling down in the bed, and I heard a voice outside the window saying, John, where are you? Would you believe the next day in church, in junior church, where 12-year-old and 11-year-old and under would not go to big church, would stay in little church in the annex at Emmanuel. Sister Garwood used to run that, and we had some visitors at the church. We would get visitors from Jamaica Bible School and other places, but this time, because there were visitors, I was paying close attention to what was being said, and I heard the gospel. I imagine you're born in church and it's like it's the first time you're hearing the gospel.
Yeah.
But I was paying attention, and I said to myself, I've never done anything to avoid hell. What have I done? I can't recall doing anything. So I decided, boy, when I saw this out today, So I stayed behind. And as I was being counseled, I heard when my father started up the Vauxhall. Now, my big brother, my mother's son, had taken a piece of galvanized pipe and stick it into the tailpipe of the car. My father didn't mind because he gave this rip-roaring whistle. The whole neighborhood hear it, And he was a big show off with that one. So I heard in the parking lot when the car started up, and I was only partway through the process. And then one of my brothers came and checked inside and saw what was happening. He didn't say a word. He just looked in and saw me talking to the counselor. And he went back to the car, and I heard when my father turned off the car. He waited patiently, no hurry, waited and saw me through that. I remember being in his Sunday school class, my father's Sunday school class, and those times when I'm able to answer a question, a scripture question correctly, how proud he would be. And many of these details came home to me once I took the step to become a full-time missionary. A lot of these things. You see that thing about John, where are you? That's the point.
Let's stick up in there, John. Let's stick up in there. Let's stick a little pin right there. We're going to take a break at 6 p.m. in the evening. You're listening to the program The Mailbox and Love 101. Kevin Bailey is my co-host. John Rooms is our guest. We'll come right back after these messages.
Man, yes, strong man. Get ready for a nostalgic time inside Love in the Morning with me, your host, Jokal Dyer. It's Thursday, June 22. Listen throughout the show for tips on how to become the best version of who you are in the feature Becoming You. Grab your cup of coffee and start the day right with Morning Coffee Pick-Me-Up Devotional at 6 a.m. Then at 7 a.m., we'll bring you the Morning Watch with intriguing and thought-provoking discussions. 8:40 a.m., we take it up a notch inside How Do You React with scenarios and situations that make you stop and wonder. What would I really do? 9:30 a.m. is Voice of Power, brought to you by the Power Faith Ministries International. Stick and stay with us. Let's take me back Thursday inside Love in the Morning, 5 to 10 a.m. on the family station, Love 101, celebrating 30 years of music, family, and
Spiritual start in the morning. It's alright, just.
I could be you,
Or me,
a member of the family, brother, sister, mother.
a member of the community, pastor, policeman, neighbor.
I could be you, but for me, every door says no entry.
Nobody is their HIV status. Join us.
After all, I could be you. Join us.
Join us. Let's work together to stop HIV discrimination. Be a champion for change. A message from the National Family Planning Board.
Downswell Records, in association with Best Dressed Chicken, presents the Kevin Downswell album launch and concert featuring John Mark Wiggins, Sarge, Alicia Taylor, Shane Mays, DJ Reaper, DJ Sticker, Jermaine Cohen, and Neil Watson. Tickets 7,000, VIP 10,000 with preferred seating and food. StarOakland.com/the album launch, Saturday, July 1, 5:30 p.m. The Ambassadors, 63 Hadley Park Road, Kevin Downswell. This is a Count Miss.
I am mama.
Yes.
Welcome back to the program, The Mailbox. We're live on Facebook and YouTube and the World Wide Web at love101.org. We ask you to stay tuned. We have with us Sir John Rooms, Kevin Bailey, and myself, Courtney Morrison. We have Sir John Rooms, who's here telling us a bit about his childhood. He was telling us about that day the counselor was speaking with him and the patient who just turned off the Vauxhall. The persons remember what a Vauxhall is like. So it's interesting time. He's our man of integrity. Sir Rooms, continue your story, please. Thanks.
Yes. So life growing up was special. We did everything in church. We were singing before we were 10. We sang on the Back to the Bible broadcast or something like that. That was aired out of Mandeville. And so on. We were close to the Jamaica Bible School, so we knew some of those people. We used to walk through the premises, get a muffin or two every now and then, and so on, and some American apple.
Wow.
And sometimes, things come down for the missionaries, and they share it with us. You see, it was a holy power, There was a string of us, we walk in a line because none of us were allowed to walk out in the road. So we are walking in single file. We get noticed and people could pick out the clothes size. And so God looked after us. We are from a much larger family because my father, there were 17 of them from the same parents. On my mother's side, there were 9 of them. And when my father proposed to my mother, her father wrote to his father, and in the letter they arranged, in the correspondence they arranged a meeting. So 2 families came together like some kind of conglomerate or something, and had meetings before they could agree to this marriage. And so we have very strong family values. We have huge get-togethers, and so we would go away to most time to Oxford over there to Roses Valley, just across the bridge into St. Elizabeth, and I think they call it the Noisy River. And Keane property and so on. Grandfather has some Keane land and so forth. And we would spend the summer there, and we were in a hurry to get back there in Christmas and Easter and all of that. The whole family would go to the beach together, so that's why my father had to buy a pickup, one of the reasons. It was in construction. But we put a settee in the pickup. I must whisper this, because about 20 people in that pickup. Falling over it, Going to the beach every Boxing Day. Wow. Things like that. We did a lot of things together, and that went on right up until recently. And we're now planning another big one, because for our grandparents, they had migrated to the room side. They had migrated to Fort Lauderdale, and they were pushing like in the region of 250 people in a family reunion.
Wow, wow.
so
That's
so
large.
yeah, so we've always been, and all of them, everybody, even those who were misbehaving, were into church.
Wow.
Into church. So every little celebration, I'm gone to church. So my father used to sing tenor and bass. My grandfather used to sing tenor and bass in the choir back in Roses Valley. My father sang tenor in the choir, and my mother sang soprano. And so all of us as Rooms Brothers were brought into the youth fellowship. When we turn up, youth fellowship just kind of turn up because of plenty away. And we love food. And so food worked for us in those days. Somebody said that when the food come out and we look on it, it just disappear.
The whole family. So tell us, John. I can see where the music legacy
Yeah,
come
man.
from. Tell us, how did you get to become a missionary? Because I know our time going in,
Oh,
so
yeah.
who want get some stuff from
You
you.
need more
Oh,
time to talk to me, boss.
yes, I know. But yeah, tell us, how did you come fully into
To the
missionary
missionary
work
thing.
and Wycliffe and all of that? How did
Yeah.
that happen?
All right. Throughout my teenage years and late teens, and then my early 20s, a certain gentleman who was on National Youth Director, every time we talk, he would say to me, Rooms, when are you going to go to Bible school and become a minister? And I would be running. Before he finished the word minister, I'm like 100 meters away. And so, oh, you can't tell me that. I'm gone. I never thought I would get into that. But I I didn't become an engineer. I went to CAST and I did business ad and got an accounting diploma.
Cast
Did
is now UTech, right? Just for
no
those.
UTech, that's
Yeah.
right. And then I went back for a degree in finance, and I was valedictorian for the
Wow.
first full blown degree graduation, and and then I did a master's with FIU in business administration. So I was involved in various types of accounting positions, from clerk through chief accountant through financial controller. In my last job, I was manager for finance and information technology, holding down two positions all at once in a large credit union. At the time, it was the largest in the Caribbean. We were doing things in there that the banks were only dreaming about. People could look at their account from any of the parishes, dial right into their account, set up 12 phone lines and stuff, and streamlining the accounts and stuff like that. And that kind of got me into trouble because people think that it now is a reason that they should ask me to do things that were totally unethical to do. And my refusing to do it got me enemies in the workplace. Won't go into much detail on that, but they made this particular person, well, he and those he got on his side, made things very difficult for me. So when I realized what was happening, I gave my mother a call. You
Yeah.
call your mother when you're in trouble, right? I don't know what I'm going to do now. She gone home since 2020. But I called her, and immediately as she heard my voice, she said, John, what's wrong? I said, Mama, but I call you several times a week, I mean, what do you mean, what's wrong? John, I pray for you several times per day, and I know when something is wrong. So I yielded and I started to explain what happened, and she started to give me advice. And then she stopped and said, no, I'm going to call up my prayer partners and we're going to ask God what he's up to. Half an hour later, she called back and said, God said, we all agree. God said you must leave that job and go and serve him fully. Well, of course, I wasn't ready to hear an advice like that. So I said, Mama, I'm rolling up my eyes. I know how to deal with these people. I can deal with them. And I heard when that same voice, you remember the voice I told you about?
Yeah.
I heard the same voice said to me, John, you're like pearl before swines. It took me years to understand what that means. Pearls before swine means giving unsolicited advice. I was nicing up the place beyond where they wanted to go with the thing. And there are some who were just fighting it down. And so she said that to me, and I stopped. And for the next 8 months, it was pure trouble. I used to hear three versions of no weapons formed against you will prosper. One version when I'm driving down, one version while I'm at the workplace, and another version going home. And the day I yielded, I remember I said to God, God, I don't know what you're doing here now, but I hear my mother's voice, and I'm going to ask. I had read Job more than once, and I know at that point where God answered Job. God replied to Job, and Job came to a realization. And I said, God, I want that realization. And so something began to change until I decided that I have had more than I can take of this situation. I am going to make the move because I believe God is trying to get my attention. I told him that God, just like when Job heard your voice, he decided to keep him out. And Job, who was God's star boy on the earth, said that I used to hear about you, but now I see you face to face, and I know things now too wonderful to express. So keep him out. I said, God, that's where I want to be with you. And when I made the move, I said to God, God, you have endorsed my moves in the past. This time, I want you to tell me where to put my foot, and I will obey you. That's where the relationship. And when I left, there was silence, there was peace, and there was sure-footedness after that. And the way I got into Bible translation, I knew it had something to do with full-time service. I remember my general manager asked me a question, and I said, "It's a question that I have to leave." Because she's a Christian, and so she understood right away, and she just worked with me on it. And so about 2 months later, I met this couple. They had already done 11 years with Wycliffe Bible Translation. They were both born to missionary parents in Jamaica, and they met overseas. And they were involved in Bible translation, passing through doing a camp for Wycliffe in Jamaica. And they started sharing. People say, I must talk to them, you know. So I went and talk, and they started talking about Bible translation and the powerful things that happen with the translated scripture, some of which I'm now experiencing right now with the JNT, the Jamaica New Testament. That's for another conversation. But when I heard those powerful things, like one Muslim woman who was invited, they had befriended her, they invited her over because they had a portion of scripture ready in her language, and they had been teaching her how to read and write her language. So they invited her over to their house, and they gave her the portion of scripture to read. And she read it, and then she became silent for about 10 minutes, not saying a word, put her head down. And they were wondering if they were going to be in trouble, because it was very dangerous to do that kind of thing with a Muslim person. After 10 minutes, she held up her head and said, well, now that I have met the true and living God, I'm going home to put away my Muslim things and serve him fully. Why, when we hear this story, we say, what? No, I know what two-edged sword is all about. I saw it work. I saw it work. They saw that, and the next thing I know, I was appointed without being asked the committee chairman for Wycliffe in Jamaica. And 2 years later, I was 4 years later, I was made CEO. I was helping the then CEO to canvas for people. I even interviewed people for him. And all the time he was watching me. And without being asked, the man said to him, well, I guess he sent me a letter and said, well, John, I guess by now you know you are the person who's going to take over from me. So when was I interviewed?
John, we're going to have to stop you again right there. You know, we're up on another break. You see, it has gotten so interesting, and sometimes it's difficult to stop at these breaks. But you are listening to the program designed for men, hosted by men whose guests are men. The Mailbox, I'm Courtney Morris. With me is Kevin Bailey, our guest, John Rooms. We're coming right back after these messages.
Integrity man, I am a man. Hey man.
This is the Colgate Max Fresh Swing. 10 times longer. That's the good Colgate Max Fresh. Healthy teeth brighter. That's the good Colgate Max Fresh. Feel the freshness longer. Colgate Max Fresh. All right, my friends, it's time to try Colgate Max Fresh. What are you waiting for? Colgate Max Fresh.
Downswell Records, in association with Best Dressed Chicken, presents the Kevin Downswell album launch and concert featuring John Mark Wiggins, Sarge, Alicia Taylor, Shane Mays, DJ Reaper, DJ Sticker, Jermaine Cohen, and O'Neal Watson. Tickets 7,000, VIP 10,000 with preferred seating and food. SpurOpen.com/the album launch, Saturday, July 1, 5:30 p.m. The Ambassadors, 63 Hadley Park Road, Kevin Downswell. This is a can't miss.
Welcome back to the Mailbox. Here every Wednesday here at 5:30. We have been having a very interesting and stimulating conversation with John Rooms, missionary, translator, man on Kingston, Keswick, and elder at Grace Missionary Church, family man. Before we continue the conversation, just want to big up Olive from Jonestown Church of God. She always say Monday on the turn up, Sunday gone, Pastor Ali Morgan and Annette and Sandra. And I am so encouraged, John and Courtney, by what companies are doing now, having specialized workshops and seminars. For men, Courtney and I were privileged to be at Woodcats, talking to Wooly Man in the place. So Kimmerine Kolash organized.
Kevin, may I just interject and say, big up to Sir Peter Douglas. Can you imagine? He is my brother's best friend, and I'm meeting him for the first time. But I guess that happens to Calabar students when you're a Kingston College student, yeah?
That's Woodcats. That's where you met him?
Yes, he knows everything about my family, down to my sister being ill and being in the hospital. He told me everything at the end of the program. Wow. I'm saying this world is tiny.
Wow, no man.
Big up to also Sir Carlita Anderson.
No, after big up, and then BNS had at their pension seminar, they include a section for men only. So again, want to big up the Patrice and Georgette for organizing that, and Jamaica Tourist Board at a men seminar again. No, so big up Janine Mundell. But I'm just saying, I am so very encouraged to see organizations saying, men, we are here for you, and we want you to become all that you are created to become. So I just wanted
kudos to them. Kudos to them.
Yeah. John Rooms in the place. And boy, well for things, because we want you to finish up on the Wycliffe journey, but we also want you to talk about family, like marriage. John, what are the principles that keep your marriage? What can you say to us, about that? Because, high divorce rate, yet God, honors marriage, and so we won't forget your tidbits on that one as well.
Yeah. So I wasn't big on girlfriend and things like that when I was teenager and young adult. So I knew that anytime I find myself making room beside me for some lady to sit at, or going to some meeting early to watch somebody come up the gate, that something happened. And so my dear friend Denise noticed that I was paying attention, and I was hanging around the place. And she asked me, what's going on? What do you have in mind? So, but I'm not into girlfriend and boyfriend business, So when I start get close to somebody, is one thing I have in mind, and it named marriage. And that wasn't the proposal, but we just put the card on the table, you know.
Yes.
Later on, we got engaged, and in months after that, we got married because I don't believe in a long engagement either. But I said that I go into relationships for keeps. It's not frivolous, and I don't want to be in and out of relationships so that when I get married, I'm doing the in and out as well. And you practice to do that kind of thing, then it becomes a habit. So the commitment was real, and we remind each other on a regular basis that no matter what happened, no matter what kind of feelings may come up, or what kind of mistake was made, or whatever, we are committed to each other to the point where we have one kitty. We don't have separate bank account. It's one kitty. So when we got married, you know, we had our separate accounts, and when we got our paying it, we put all of it, not some of it, all of it into one family account. And that's what we've been doing all these, I think 30, 33, 34 years are there about.
Wow. Congrats, man. Congratulations.
Yeah. And then now, you know, the kind of commitment, we know, we settle it, you know, there's no question about it. Our marriage is for life. So we don't have to rehearse that. It's a setting. So the whole integrity thing, we gave our word to each other. So there's no question about it. And so when the Lord called me into full-time service, there wasn't a question either. Because she made a commitment to me, and I made a commitment to her. She made a commitment to go with me wherever the Lord leads. High road, low road, wherever, rich or poor, she's with me. And so her only response to me is something like, oh, okay. I've learned over the years that whenever I get that, oh, okay, there's no further discussion, everything all right, John, no problem at all. And like I give away the whole rent money that was supposed to buy groceries for the house. I gave it to one lady who was in distress, and for a couple of days I wasn't sure what to do. I feel the empty pocket. And I told my wife what happened, and she said, oh, okay. Said, yeah, man, my girl, that these kinds of things. So she goes with me because she also knows that I'm her best friend. I'm for her. Sometimes it doesn't always appear like that because life happens, stuff happens. But it is the commitment that was the foundation was laid from the very beginning. And it stabilized us, it stabilized our children. My daughter is in a great marriage going past 5 years, almost 5 years now.
Hi, Devaney.
Yes, Devaney. She's probably going to be watching this. But, you know, they say that if you pass the 5-year mark,
yes,
you're looking good, right?
Good.
I remember when I passed the 5-year mark, you know, I was holding the breath the whole time, you know, for 5 years. After that, man, we just cut loose. Man, yeah, man, we know if we do marriage. So they're looking good, and my son seemed to be following in my footsteps. I got married over 30. But it has been good. We do things together. You know that my wife don't have a separate house key from me. It's the one. My son has a key for himself. My daughter has a key for herself. But me and my wife is one house key we have. In other words, we must always know where each other is. You understand? We always know. And she will tell you that she never worries about who I'm meeting with out there. And I've had to meet all kinds of people. I have to sit down for sometimes for hours talking to people, male and female, because here is the thing, you know, sometimes we don't have a lot of missionary work is not popular. And so when it comes to the leaders, we have to stretch ourselves thin because it's just a few of us. I need to say something about the men. When I made this step, my 2 kids were going to an expensive prep school. You know, prep school, private prep school, and plenty of money I have to pay for that. Yeah. I had a huge mortgage I came from, I qualified for because of the big job I had in the sector. I had car loans, right? And let me tell you, I can write a huge volume of how God has taken care of me. What I want to say
God.
to the men, because Sunday I spoke at a church on Sunday on Father's Day, and the Lord made sure I delivered a mission focused message. There was a little diagram in it that I wanted to use, and I couldn't shave off the rest of it. God had me I kept the entire message and just relate it to the men. And even in this interview, I'm realizing that it's for good reason. I
Mm.
made a declaration at the start of that sermon to say that I credit my success as a father and a husband to my commitment to the Great Commission of God.
Mm.
That is what helped me. Because you see, as I minded God's business over the years, and that's one reason why I didn't get married so quick. I was happy serving the Lord, serving the Lord with everything I got, my music, my art, my drama, everything going into the thing.
Mm.
And now I'm doing that with everything I learned in college on top of all of those things going on. One focus I have, and it's a great commission, that commandment, commission and the commandment that Jesus gave us as to how, as believers, we should live on this earth. A man who is not transformed to become a follower of Jesus Christ, he cannot do right by his wife, his family. Where you see that happening for an unbeliever, it's an exception. It's unusual. There's always something, if it's not power, craze, and possession and pleasure going on in all kind of ways. It is the transformed man who can truly do right by his family as he focuses on the things of the Lord. His children follow closely behind him. His wife is happy with the arrangement. It's come from Matthew chapter 6, verse 33. Mind God business, and he will mind for your business. I step out on a line. My wife was hardly working anything at the time because she was part volunteering at church at the time. We had come out of the great financial sector's upheaval in the mid 90s. And so she didn't go back to regular work. We both were made redundant. But the children are young, so I would drop them at the nursery and she would pick them our school and she would pick them up afterwards and stuff like that. And so when I stepped from my big job, there was no real income, just a little stipend from the church. And to this day, we trust the Lord for our income. And I want to tell you guys and you gentlemen out there, throwing your lot with Jesus, it is true that God is no man's debtor. He'll take care of you. He'll take care of your wife. He'll take care of your children. And he will take care of whatever property he chooses to give you. He will take care of your bank account. We don't get a salary in Wycliffe per se. We have to raise our own support. And these 23 years, we have not gone past 30% of what our salary quota is to be. Do I look like somebody who's starving? Children are never upset with me. There are things they couldn't get because, of course, but they were swinging with us. They understood that is not everything they have to get, and they were satisfied, right? And they pointed out their parents to their friends to say, see my parents there, be like them.
John, you see,
John, time finish
John.
for we, John.
Hey, John.
Time finish on us. But indeed, that's a good way to end the program. Thank you. That was a good message. And we are hoping that our men listen to it. Indeed, we want to say thanks to our producer, Trisha and Brian, and to my butler for technical support, to our listeners and those who joined us on social media, Facebook and YouTube. Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you so much, our Mentegrity guest, John Rooms in the place. Boy, it was a pleasure. Just want to say, listeners, catch you again next week inside another episode of the Mailbox. This was the program designed for men with guests who are men, and we thank God.
Thank you for having me. And anytime you feel like having me to bomb out the place again, I'm ready. I know you have to take a long break before you endure this kind of stuff again, but it was a real pleasure being here. God bless you both.
All the very best.
Good.
So
next week, Monday.
Monday.
Monday.